There's a lot of shit.
TP guys, I'm coming mid. I actually have to stop Yana from picking up farm top lane, so I'm just gonna keep on pushing top. Can you guys handle me?
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's already picked up farm from my that is almost equal to me now. And I was 40 farm ahead. Got an Lilia over here. So be careful from this side.
Move.
Yana is coming. Run away.
Oh shit.
Run away, please.
Oh, what a save, dude.
Fuck.
Damn. That MF, dude. Fuck. That Ultimate did damage there, but fuck, we didn't have that. Just at lost.
As well. I've got one kill. That's it.
Oh, I got Luden started.
Hey. Well, that's up, Jason. my word. I never bought boots. I thought I had the boots rune. That could have helped a bit. Pardon? I thought I had the runes that gives boots, so I never bought. Yeah, I don't know what runes are. There's someone here. Yeah, two. Oh.
Wait, how are those not hitting though?
I don't know, dude.
No,
I said, yeah, Bobby.
Don't focus the tank, focus the option.
Oh, fuck, there's one. Ah.
Fuck.
I got beats, don't worry, don't worry.
Oh, you could see how it doesn't hit on the screen, like on 9 screen.
But it's funny, when I'm playing against the Lux, those still hit me, you know what I mean? Like you think it's out and it still hits you.
Probably Drake. Just need a ward or something and then I can try alt.
Got it.
Nice.
But I'm dead now.
Oh my god, I just had my ult up and that second hit my head.
Where's everyone? Okay, one.
I had two guys, I mean, I was trying to run, I had to flash over the wall.
Yeah, bro. Ek kom nie weer in vir teamfights dan, sorry. I will be solo pushing you. I'm just gonna fucking push.
So dead here, right?
No, I believe in you, Dom. No, they don't know. They're not coming for you, Dom.
Back
This
there,
MF
back
is
there,
on me.
back there.
Ah, no.
Run under the tower, go to the tower. Go
Get
to the
yourself,
tower,
yeah,
no,
get yourself executed. Ah, no, too
Oh,
late.
what?
Oh, no. She got a few hits on me, I think.
Oh, shit. Sending out.
And I'm yet again, why are you...
You know what's the problem, guys? We dying like at different times. We must just wait for everyone.
Yeah, bro. It's team fights. It's not fucking team fights.
Yeah, but let's just wait for everyone to be
I
alive.
TP'd there for the fucking fight here, and there was no fight. I TP'd in alone.
Because there was no fight. It was just...
There was, dude. People were there, man. They were freaking here.
Yeah, but we were here. So like, we weren't there at all. Like, we were very far away.
Echo was there. It was like, okay.
Oh, come on. I'm failing so hard. One person does not a team fight make.
Yoni?
Let's rather back it off a bit. Why did he back? She back. It back. That's so strange, right?
No, they went.
I should run, Dom, run. Nice. I'm coming, Dom. I'm coming. Yeah, the MF is quite fed, to be honest.
Keep pressure mid so he can try and get top. They're coming to you, I think, eh? Careful. Yeah, they're coming to you.
RuneScape Descent, also known as E2N. This is the second new 8-man normal raid made available by patch 5.01 in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. This new encounter has really filled the raid void inside of me that has left me feeling infirm for so long. Without further delay, my name is Mistek and I'll be your raid guide. We begin the fight with Doomvoid Guillotine, which will create a massive bacon strip through the boss across the platform. This AoE will always spawn relative to the boss's position, so be careful as the boss gets moved around throughout the encounter. All players will need to avoid this to avoid damage and debuffs. As soon as that cast goes off, a line of Nyx will spawn in the affected area. Each Nyx will then move across the platform in a specific direction. If a player is hit by a Nyx, they'll take damage and be debuffed. Players will need to quickly discern which way each Nyx is facing and move into the lane behind one to easily avoid the rest. Doomvoid Slicer is a massive donut AoE attack. Players will need to quickly move into the boss's hitbox to avoid heavy damage and debuffs. Next up, another 4 Nyx will spawn at each cardinal point relative to the boss's position. They will move into the boss, damaging and debuffing anyone in their path. To easily avoid this round of Nyx, players can stand at the intercardinal points between each Nyx spawn. Shadow Flame is a heavy-hitting tankbuster on both tanks. Cooldown and heal through this as necessary. Darkfire 3 will target 4 players with these large AoE circle markers. Affected players will need to move away to avoid overlapping damage. Unholy Darkness will target a player with the stack up marker. The group will need to stack up with this player to share the incoming damage. From this point on, players will need to handle and expect Spell in Waiting, a buff that will delay the next incoming attack each time it is cast. Luckily for us, the boss gives us a few practice rounds with Spell in Waiting before mechanics begin to overlap. First, players will need to deal with the delayed Darkfire 3. The affected players can spread out in advance, but they'll need to understand that their AoE blasts will not go off until the markers above their heads count down. As such, you can wait to spread apart once the countdown begins. Next, a delayed Unholy Darkness. In similar fashion, the attack damage will take some time to actually apply, and players will need to stay stacked together until it goes off. The next cast will have as overlapping mechanics a bit. 4 players will be affected by another delayed Darkfire 3. Soon after, a player will be affected by another delayed Unholy Darkness. The timing for this first combo has both AoE blasts hitting at the same time. As such, the Darkfire players will need to remain spread, while unaffected players will remain stacked with the Unholy Dark player. Next up, Entropy will deal high raid-wide damage, and the Hand of Erebos will spawn on one side of the platform. This hand will then knock back all players across the platform from that particular side. You'll need to use knockback immunities or position yourself close to the hand side to avoid getting knocked from the platform. This is followed by another Doomvoid Guillotine. Remember that this attack is relative to the boss's position, so adjust as necessary. This incoming line of Nyx will coincide with another knockback from the other side. You'll need to dodge the line of Nyx by moving into a lane behind one, while also positioning to avoid getting knocked off the platform. Move in for Doomvoid Slicer, and then dodge the next group of Nyx. Tanks will need to expect one more Shadow Flame cast, and then the boss will cast Entropy again. This time, a number of circles will spawn around the platform that will call down discs. If the discs hit the platform, they will explode and debuff all players. To handle this, a player will need to stand in each circle to block the falling disc. The catch is that standing in the circles will inflict you with a bleed debuff, so healers be ready for a little bit of extra damage during this time. This coincides with the delayed Unholy Darkness. The timing here allows for players to stand in each circle first, soaking each disc before moving into stack with the affected player to share the incoming damage. The tricky part here is that before the stack damage actually goes out, the boss will cast another delayed Darkfire 3. This may seem scary, but players will need to remain stacked for the original Unholy Darkness damage before spreading apart to deal with Darkfire 3. Next, you'll deal with another knockback and another set of circles around the platform. After the knockback, players will quickly need to reposition inside each circle to avoid that high damage and debuff. Another Entropy cast to heal through, and then a player will be targeted with Shadow Eye. This is a room-wide gaze attack from the affected player. All unaffected players will need to turn away from this player to avoid getting petrified. The next spell in waiting cast will delay the next Shadow Eye. The same principle applies here, and the group will need to handle some overlapping mechanics while waiting on the timer for the gaze attack to begin before looking away from the affected player. Dodge the next guillotine and nix adds. It's not until the next Doom Void Slicer that the gaze countdown begins, so as you move into that safe zone, make sure you're not looking at that affected player. From this point on, all of these mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. Spell in waiting can be tricky at first, and if you're having trouble with the order of each mechanic overlap, remember that you can always watch the markers for their countdowns to help direct you. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll head into Eden's Gate in
Let's go, Baron. That Lulu play was fucking insane, dude. It was well played there. Let's take this thing.
Wait, no, I'm right. Okay, you guys gonna
Guys, don't pick a fight. Let them push you in, take some farm. We're still behind.
They're coming towards spots, one or two then.
Yeah.
Seconds straight.
I got TP, I'm going back to base real quick and then I'll keep you in. I don't have a ward for Echo, help Echo. Go, 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 kill. Good shot. That's dangerous.
Oh no.
I need them out now.
Whoa.
Well, I missed it. There you go, Jason. I'm sitting up right now. Posture check complete.
I hated it.
Redeemed.
I almost had my ult. We need to stall for 5 seconds. Oh shit.
I shoot this Greg.
Go Drake, quick. Yeah, Mikey! Wait, she does a fuckload of damage. I might have to get rid of this one to get that, to balance that shit out. No, I'm gonna have to do
Oh,
that.
she flashed it. What a bitch.
There? She's right there. Be careful, Oxon is also there, that means the whole team's there, back away.
Ah, shit. Mm-hmm.
Run. Run, Max, run.
He's like attacking the walls, he's not running towards us. Watch out, watch out.
I just want to actually keep them here so that Darius can.
Jason,
Do something,
actually
you know?
tell me, can you change the quality of the video of the stream?
Here she is.
Or are you only given the option of,
It's okay. Just change it. You don't have to go too ham.
of
Josh.
1080p?
Oh,
No,
fuck.
no
careful.
cursing. Shh. I almost said something.
Busy so they don't all come near to me. What the fuck? How did this happen now? What happened?
Well, it was just the MF.
It's so weird.
That's
So
what I'm asking, like,
why?
What just happened?
She is an 18.3 MF, I forgot that part.
Mm-hmm.
What did...
Why does it sometimes give you the option and sometimes not? Like, it's so strange. It's probably dependent on Twitch servers being busy or not, right?
Action. I'm gonna ignore that bitch. Oh, watch out, that he might kill you. This one?
I'm dead.
That one.
Oh, Mr. Action! Nice, thank you.
Come back to me, come to me. Oh wait, fuck, that's not gonna help. I have to stop this one.
Thank you for the save, Josh.
But action.
Yeah, I'm going straight to action now.
Beginning dying.
The Baron's coming up soon.
Ja, biggest stream is good to get a yeah, I'm a full yeah, I think like I said, the other day, only practice on Thursday, that's important.
Why? Why? Fucking bastard. Fucking I need everything. I can't believe I fucking fell off the platform. Well, I did fall. Throw that shit over the edge. Maybe på the bottom. Helen Parker.
Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for Eden's Gate Inundation, also known as E3N. This is the third new 8-man normal raid made available by patch 5.01 in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. I've been inundated with requests for this guide as it seems everyone is drowning in a deluge of mechanics. If you stay current with this guide, you'll turn the tide and wave goodbye to Leviathan. My name is Mistech and I'll be your lifeguard. We begin with Tidal Roar, an AoE blast dealing high raid-wide damage. Healers be ready. Rip Current will mark up and tether the primary target for this massive line attack. The main tank will need to ensure they're positioned away from the rest of the raid to avoid cleaving the group. Don't forget your cooldowns. Temporary Current will have one of Leviathan's heads blast across the platform. This is a pretty massive attack, and 2 safe zones in each corner of the platform will form. All players will need to move to these spots as quickly as possible. Drenching Pulse will first form a number of AoE circles on the platform underneath players. Immediately after, each player will be marked up for another blast. The group will need to spread apart to avoid overlapping damage on one another. The next Temporary Current will blast across the platform from the opposite side. Make sure you make your way to safety immediately. Another Tidal Roar to heal through, and then Tidal Wave will spawn a large water spout on either the east or the west of the platform. This water spout will soon knock back all players a set distance away from it. To avoid getting knocked off the platform, all players should move to the same side that the water spout is on. When the boss casts Undersea Quake, players will need to pay close attention to the position of the heads. This first cast has each head spread to the outer edges of the platform. All players will need to move into the middle to avoid death. Once the cast goes off, the platform edges will be destroyed and you'll have a little bit less room to work with. Crashing Pulse will first place AoE circles underneath players and then target a player with the stack up marker. Dodge those ground AoEs and then stack up with the affected player to share the damage. Heal through another Tidal Roar and quickly reposition to safety for the next Temporary Current. At this point, the platform will reform. Tsunami will deal high raid-wide damage and place 1 of 4 debuffs on each player. These debuffs will all resolve at specific times, allowing players to handle each mechanic in turn. The first player will be targeted by the Surging Tsunami knockback marker. They can simply stand near the edge of the platform in front of the boss to allow the rest of the group to reposition around them to avoid getting knocked off the platform. Next, 4 players will be marked for large splashing wave circle AoEs, and another will be marked with a large donut AoE. Spread these apart to avoid overlapping as necessary. Finally, the last knockback marker will resolve. Make sure you reposition around the affected player to avoid getting knocked off. Eventually, the boss will cast Maelstrom and disappear. 3 small circle AoEs will appear on the platform. These circles will quickly expand into much larger AoE puddles, so make sure you stay well away from them. Leviathan will then dive bomb across the platform from a random side. You'll need to quickly identify where he is, signified by this large water portal, and then move to the other side of the platform to avoid the attack. This attack pattern will happen twice in a row, so be sure to adjust appropriately. At this point, Leviathan will return and the encounter will resume. All mechanics will repeat until the next Undersea Quake cast. This time you'll notice that both heads are in the middle of the platform, and players will need to move either to the east or the west edge of the platform to avoid death. With the platform split like this, you'll find you have very little room to dodge and spread for the incoming AoE circle attacks, so watch your step. Dodge 2 Temporary Currents in a row and the platform will then be reformed. At this point, you'll notice that the mechanics will begin to repeat and each one is handled in the same manner until the boss is down. One thing to note is that after the next Undersea Quake, the boss will immediately cast Tsunami, and all players will need to deal with the 4 types of debuffs on the smaller platform size. Since there is far less room to handle everything, players will have to be very careful with their positioning, especially during the 2 knockback mechanics. Be sure to stack with the affected player for smothering Tsunami before spreading around the platform with the circle AoEs. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we're heading to Eden's Gate Sepulture. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.
No! No! Damn it, I got it twice!
Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for Eden's Gate Sepulture, also known as E4N. This is the last new 8-man raid made available by patch 5.01 in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. This new Titan form is quite hunky, and I must admit I have a bit of a geo-crush on him. If you find yourself getting buried in mechanics and crumbling under the weight of your raid, please remember it's not always your fault. My name is Mistech and I'll be your raid guide. You'll notice that the platform is divided into a grid pattern. These segments of the platform will help you predict and dodge incoming mechanics with a bit more accuracy throughout the encounter, so keep that in mind. We begin with Voice of the Land, a heavy-hitting raid-wide AoE blast. Healers beware. Anytime the boss casts Evil Earth, one segment of the platform will light up and eventually explode. This explosion will affect the next row of adjacent segments in a sequence until all segments have exploded. To avoid this, players can wait on the edge of a segment, and once the explosion happens next to them, they'll quickly move into that segment to avoid the next one. Weight of the land will target specific segments of the platform. Players will need to move out of these areas to avoid damage. Stone Crusher is a heavy-hitting tank buster on the primary target that also applies a physical vulnerability up debuff. Tanks can swap here to minimize damage. Don't forget to cool down the initial hit of this attack as well. Crumbling Down will bring down 2 proximity-based damage markers on the platform. Players will need to move to either the middle of the north or south edges to minimize damage. 2 massive boulders will then crash down on the platform. One of these boulders will immediately light up, indicating that it will eventually crumble under its own weight and disappear. The other remaining boulder will be used by the raid to hide from Titan's incoming seismic wave attack. As soon as the cast begins, make sure you run behind that boulder to avoid high damage and debuffs. Next, Geocrush will have Titan jumping to a random area of the platform, knocking back all players from his landing spot. Use knockback immunities or make your way to the landing spot and position in such a way to avoid getting knocked off the platform. Once he lands, Titan can reform his arms and cast Massive Landslide. All players must immediately move to the segments directly in front of him. Failing to do so will knock you off the platform and you will die. Immediately after this hit, all players will need to move out from in front of him to avoid the next shockwave attack. Bomb boulders will cause a number of exploding boulders to spawn around the platform in a specific pattern. This is very reminiscent of original Titan boulders and are handled in the same manner. Titan will tether to a boulder and cast Cobalt Bomb. This will cause the tethered boulder to grow in size and eventually deal a much larger explosion. As such, when dodging all of the bomb boulders, players should also be extra careful to dodge far away from the Cobalt Bomb boulder itself. This first bomb boulder pattern is a simple circle of boulders. An easy way to dodge this is to move to the center of the edge between 2 small boulder bombs. Eventually, another Geocrush and knockback before Titan reforms on his ATV. He will then cast Fault Zone, driving across the platform and knocking back all players a set distance. A shockwave of AoEs will also form and move across the platform from the section he drove across, and you'll need to dodge these appropriately. To avoid getting knocked off the platform during this time, always remember the saying, fix sides, save lives. Anytime you see Titan on his ATV, move to the side of him with 2 rows of platform available, or you will die. As the encounter progresses, Titan will drive around the platform multiple times, and each time you want to reposition onto the thick side. Eventually, Titan will cast Earthen Fury, dealing high raid-wide damage and debuffing players for 15 seconds. Healers, be ready with those shields and heals. The next bomb boulder pattern is 3 rows that spawn in a sequence. Players will move to the last row to spawn, far away from the big Cobalt Bomb boulder, and then move into the center once it explodes. Make sure you also move out of the segments affected by weight of the land as necessary. You'll notice here the mechanics begin to overlap from this point on. This fight is all about using each segment of the platform to dodge AoEs as quickly and efficiently as possible. When Titan casts Landslide, a majority of the platform will be targeted for the attack. You'll need to move into a safe segment before moving out of the resulting shockwave AoEs. Periodically, Titan will cast either rightward or leftward Landslide, targeting half of the platform for attack. Players will need to move to the unaffected side to survive and then move out of the next shockwave AoE. The next bomb boulder pattern is a flower or star pattern. 2 sets of bombs will spawn in a circle, with the second set spawning in between the first. Players will move to the second set to spawn, wait for the first set to go off before repositioning into the safe zones. During the next ATV mini phase, Titan will drive across the platform a number of times in a row. Each time, players will need to ensure they're not standing in his path and position themselves on the wider side. Watch out for each shockwave as you move back into position for the next drive-by. Eventually, Titan will stop and cast Magnitude 5.0. This is a massive donut AoE, and all players will need to quickly run into his hitbox to avoid damage. At this point, you've seen every mechanic he'll throw at you. If you're lucky enough, you'll find that the fight does not seem to have an enrage, and as long as you can stay somewhat alive, you can probably limp your way to a win. This fight is all about dodging each attack and their shockwaves to minimize damage. If you have any
Oh, Jesus.